In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn fabric scraps from various projects, including what's left of this sheet, into a kimono-style cover-up using this as my inspiration. So let's get started. This is the basic design we'll use for this project. Because this pattern consists of rectangles, it's super easy to sew, and it's also great for using fabric scraps. If you don't have enough material for a section, you can add a panel with a different fabric, so it's a very versatile design. Here are the basic dimensions for the pieces I used. For reference, I'm 5'6", so you may want to adjust for your measurements and for the size of your fabric pieces. To cut the fabric for the body, fold the fabric in half and cut a rectangle 28 inches wide and 37 inches long. Fold the fabric in half again and measure 3 inches from the fold, then draw and cut a quarter oval shape for the neck opening. To make the front opening, refold the fabric lengthwise and cut along the fold from the neck opening all the way down the front. Then cut at an angle from the neck opening to about 18 inches down the front of the center slit. For the sleeves, cut 2 rectangles 20 by 16 inches. Since I didn't have enough fabric for the entire neckband or belt, I cut 4 shorter sections with extra for seam allowance. For the neckband, I cut 2 sections 6 by 41 inches, and for the belt, the 2 sections were 6 by 34 inches. Finally, I cut 2 pockets 8 by 11 inches and 2 belt loops 2 by 7 inches. Okay, now we're ready to sew. To attach the sleeves, mark the shoulder fold on the body of the robe and the halfway point on the long side of the sleeve and pin them together. To sew using a French seam, sew 1/8 of an inch from the raw edge with the wrong sides of the fabric facing each other, or you can sew further from the edge and then trim the seam allowance to 1/8 of an inch afterwards. Turn inside out and iron the seam, then sew a second seam 1/4 inch from the folded edge. To sew the belt loops, fold them in half lengthwise and sew 1/4 inch from the raw edge. Turn the loops inside out using a safety pin and press. Fold the loops in half and pin to the sides of the robe on the right side of the fabric near the waist, which for me was about 15 inches down from the shoulder fold. Line up the seams from the sleeves and the body and pin into place on both sides. So from the sleeve opening, down the side seam of the body, over the belt loop, and all the way down to the hem using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Carefully clip the fabric in the angle of the sleeve so that the seam can move freely. Cut as close to the seam as possible without clipping any of the stitches. I noticed the raw edges of my fabric were a little frayed, so I trimmed the rest of the seam allowance to make sure it would be encased inside the second seam. Turn inside out and iron the seams, and then sew the second seam 1/4 inch from the folded edge. When you come to the right angle, sew in a curve to lessen the bunching when you turn it right side out. Often the hem is the last step, but in this case we're going to sew the hem before the neckband for a neater finish. Fold the edge of the seam up 1/4 inch and iron all the way around the hem, then make a second fold 1.5 inches from the first and iron again. Sew close to the folded edge all the way around the hem. For the neckband, sew the 2 strips together with the right sides facing each other. Iron or finger press the seams flat. Find the center of the robe body and match it with the center of the neckband. Then pin the neckband to the inside of the robe with the right side of the neckband facing the wrong side of the robe. Sew the neckband to the body of the robe, beginning and ending at the hem. Clip the fabric in the curve of the neck to allow the seam to move freely. Make a fold 1/4 inch from the edge of the neckband and iron. Turn the neckband right side out and pin the folded edge to cover the seam, but leave the ends unpinned. Turn the ends inside out and sew along the edge. Trim the fabric and turn it right side out. Push out the corners to make them nice and sharp. Then top stitch along the entire neckband. If desired, make a second top stitch along the fold to help it lay flat. For the belt, sew the two sections together with the right sides facing each other. Open the seam and finger press. Sew around the edges of the belt, leaving a 3-inch section open in the middle. Clip the corners, then turn the belt inside out and push out the corners with something pointy like a chopstick. Iron, then sew the opening closed or top stitch around the belt instead. For the pockets, make a fold 1/2 inch from the top edge on the wrong side of the pocket and iron. Turn the pocket to the right side and fold over 1 inch and iron again. Sew along the sides of the pocket hem with a 1/4 inch seam allowance and clip the corners and turn inside out, making sure to push out the corners. Fold and iron the hem on the wrong side of the pocket and clip the edges. Sew along the hem close to the folded edge. Try on the robe, position the pockets, and pin into place. Attach by top stitching around the sides and the bottom of the pocket. The final step is to hem the sleeves. I wanted my sleeves to be a little shorter, so I made the hem bigger. The first fold was a little over 1/2 inch and the second around 2 inches, but if you want the sleeve to be longer, you can make a smaller hem. Then sew the hem close to the folded edge all the way around the sleeve, and that's it. We're done. And here's the result. This kimono style is so versatile. I personally needed a cover-up for the pool, but you can shorten it for an easy jacket or make a longer version to wear as a robe, and it's a great scrap buster if you have fabric left over from other projects. So I hope this inspires you to take on your own refashioning project. Thanks for watching and happy upcycling!